One special circumstance or one special thing we need to talk about in relation to linear equations is when we are dealing with horizontal or vertical lines. And so I have a little acronym that I use to describe this, HOI and VUX. You can see from the outer portion of these notes that the H has a horizontal line and the last letter in the word HOI says y equals. That is because when you see an equation that says y equals something and there's no x but only a y, that still is a linear equation, but it indicates a straight horizontal line with a zero slope. The V has a vertical next to it, and then it says x equals. So anytime you see an equation that has x equals, it indicates a vertical line. So we're just going to fill in some real simple instructions that will help us understand these concepts and help us be able to make sense of them when we are being asked to graph linear equations. So for the HOI, the graph will be a horizontal line. If the equation has a y equals in it, and we're going to talk about that at the end here. But something important to note about horizontal lines is that horizontal lines have zero slope. So if you were doing slope formula, let's say you were being asked to write the equation of a line that passes through a certain point, there are certain 2 points, and you did the slope formula and you found that the numerator gave you a 0. That is okay, so that's why it says okay. That would just mean that it would be a 0 slope, okay? The equation of those lines are always going to be y equals some number, which just simply means that it crosses the y-axis. So for example, if you see y equals 4, that is a horizontal line that passes through 4 on the y-axis. So you're going to draw a horizontal line. The VUX is going to represent a vertical line. Vertical lines have an undefined slope. So if you are doing slope formula because you are being asked to do something in point slope form and you got to first find the slope, and you do the subtraction and the denominator is a 0, no, that is not okay. You're never allowed to divide by 0. If 0 is in the denominator of a fraction, it means you're dividing by 0, and the calculator would always say error, or it will actually say undefined. Okay, you cannot divide by a 0. So if 0 is in the bottom, no, that's not okay. Okay, why did I write verticals? Sorry. And then finally, the equation looks like this. X equals a number, and it crosses the x-axis. So for example, if you see x equals -1, that would be an example of a vertical line that passes through the x-axis at -1. So that just gives you some things to keep in mind, a few unique circumstances, because on your homework you'll be asked to graph, and you'll be moving along, doing great, using slope-intercept, and then you'll get to one of these 2 types of equations, and it'll throw you off, and you'll say, "What? How do I graph that?" Right? And so that's where you got to remember that if you only see a y or only see an x, you got to come back to this page and remember that it's going to be a horizontal or a vertical line, depending upon what the letter in the equation is. So that'll help you with that. So the last 2 things we're going to do in the next 2 videos is going to be reviewing how to write the equations of parallel lines and perpendicular lines.